Thanks, James. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, hope everybody is well. I'm January Gill, and it's great to see everybody here at the Grolier on a very brisk October evening. Man, it feels like fall. Welcome to the online audience too. It's good to have you here. This space continues to bring poets and readers together, and in these dark times, we are thankful for the Grolier. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hearing from three extraordinary writers whose work spans continents, languages, and ways of seeing. Each of them brings a distinct voice to the page, yet they share a deep commitment to craft, to community, and to the power of poetry, which connects us all. So please join me in welcoming Pelizzon Dzvinia Orlowsky and the Penelope Pelizzon. Round of applause. I'm going to introduce everybody first, and they're going to read in alphabetical order, so you only have to see me this once. Books tonight by tonight's readers are available here for sale at the Grolier. Please support the poets and the shop by taking a copy or two or 8 home. Pelizzon's poetry collections include Beau's Object Lesson and The Fool. Her resource book is Object Lesson, a guide to writing poetry. Along with Iraqi poet Dr. Hanaa Ahmad Jabr, she's co-written and co-translated a correspondence in Arabic and English poems titled Where Do You Live? As well, she is the editor of the forthcoming anthology Other Paths for Shahrazad, a bilingual anthology of poetry by Arab women. Her work appears in Poetry Magazine, Rattle Magazine, on the Seawall, The Common, the LA Review, on the Slowdown podcast, and in the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day series. She's received honors from the Kenyon Review Writers Workshop, the Mass Cultural Council, and the Women's Federation for World Peace. Jennifer is an organizer for the Her Story Is Collective, a faculty member at the Solstice MFA, and a senior program manager at the Fine Arts Work Center. And you can look and see more of her at jenniferjeanwriter.com. Dzvinia Orlowsky is a Pushcart Prize poet, translator, and a founding editor of Four Way Books. She's authored 7 poetry collections with Carnegie Mellon University Press, including Bad Harvest, a 2019 Massachusetts Book Award must-read in poetry. And her most recent, Those Absences Now Closest, named to Brilliant Books' Most Brilliant Books of 2024 list. She's a recipient of the Sheila Motten Book Award, and her poem sequence, The Disenchanted Desna, was a winner of the 2019 New England Poetry Club Samuel Washington Allen Prize, selected by Robert Pinsky. Ali Kinsella and Dzvinia's co-translations from the Ukrainian of Natalka Skirkivets. Eclectic Days and Hope and Sorrow was a finalist for the 2022 Griffin International Poetry Prize, the 2022 Derek Walcott Poetry Prize, the Alta 2022 National Translation Award, and winner of the 2020-2021 AAUS translation of Ayana Cutts' Lost in Living, published by Lost Horse Press in 2024, and were finalists for the 2025 PEN America Literary Award for Translation. The Penelope Pelizzon's A Gaze Hound That Hunteth by the Eye, longlisted for the National Book Critics Circle Award, is the TLS Book of the Year, and one of Lit Hub's favorite poetry collections 2024. Her first book, Gnosis, won the Poetry Society of America's Norma Faber First Book Award, and her second, Whose Flesh is Flame, Whose Bone is Time, was a finalist for the Anthony Hecht Poetry Prize. She is a co-author of Tabloid Ink, a critical study of film, photography, and crime narratives. Her recognitions include the Hawthornden Fellowship, the Amy Lowell Traveling Scholarship, a Lannan Foundation Writing Residency Fellowship, and the Discovery the Nation Award. She is a professor of English at the University of Connecticut. So please welcome these writers. They'll be reading in alphabetical order.
Hello, beautiful poetry family. So good to see all of you. Also, hi to Zoom folks. Yeah, thank you so much, January, for that introduction. And I'm really happy to be reading with Penelope and Dzvinia. And thanks, James, for the invite. I super appreciate it. Last month, we lost a member of our poetry family. Some of you might know her, Jennifer Martelli. And today, by chance, one of her poems was posthumously published by the Arts Fuse, and I have to read it for all of you. Before I do, I just want to excuse my German. She has some German words in here. Oy. So just please forgive me. It's called Monday Night. My friend texted me a poem by Rilke, asked me what I thought about it. Quintessential Rilke. Quintessential meaning the fifth essence, most pure, latent in all things, what the heavenly bodies are made of. I loved the last few lines. In you who were a child once, in you, and sent back 2 translations of another poem, one by Snow, one by Bly. I like Bly's better, though I can't speak for its fidelity. I dropped German as soon as I could, only studied it to be different in a school where everybody took French or Italian, fascists once, or knee benders to fascists. I too still kneel and pray, me, ungodded long ago. I can still say the Mass just as I know the days of the week in German. Hut ist Montag? Today is Monday, Moon Day. I remember how to conjugate the verb to be. Ich bin, du bist, sie, es ist, I am, you are, he, she, it is. I sent my friend links to Bly and Snow that same Monday with my smartphone. Both translations end with a man who wrestles with an angel again and again until the sinews and muscles tear, until finally he, she, it stands down, exhausted, breathing cool air. Mm-hmm. So when I first saw this, I noticed that there's some slant rhymes at the end. So I'm assuming there's some kind of form here, but I was getting emotional even then, and I am now reading it. So all of you check out her poem there and then let me know, what is that form that she's using? Mm-hmm. So the poems that I'm going to read for you tonight, many of them, actually Jen Martelli and actually January also have workshopped some of these poems. So it feels really special to me to read them here for all of you. And the books are, the book is Where Do You Live? And the subtitle is It's a Correspondence in Poetry. And I was corresponding with an Iraqi poet named Hanaa Ahmad Jabr from Mosul. And she and I met through the Her Story is Collective, and we decided we wanted to work together. Only problem is I don't speak Arabic and she didn't speak English. She speaks a little now, but she didn't at the time when we began 7 years ago. And so we exchanged poems through a co-translator, or through 2 actually, Tamara Alatia and Wadak Case. And so what we would do, I'm explaining this because it'll give a little bit more context for the book. What we would do is, let's say I would begin a poem in English. I would send the poem to one of the 2 translators, co-translators. They would do a raw translation into Arabic, and then Hanaa would be the poet as part of the team in Arabic, and she would shape my poem into Arabic, and then it would go in the opposite direction. And I would shape her poem into English, and we got to know each other through this process. It was really deeply intimate, personal, interesting, like intellectually interesting, but just also emotionally elevating process. So I'm going to read several of my poems in the book. Both of our poems are here in both languages. And I'll start off with several of mine, and then I'll end with one of hers. And before I begin, I just want to say, I feel like this is a good book for this time that I accidentally stumbled into because difficult conversations between people on opposite sides of boundaries need to happen right now. And I feel privileged to have been a part of that kind of conversation. So I'm going to start with a poem that the title of which is the title of a song by Ferouz, a Lebanese singer. It's an icon in the Arab world. And yeah, and I'm not going to sing. There's some lyrics in here. Jan always tells me to sing. I'm not going to sing. Jan, sorry. Okay, it's called Nataruna Katir. Music is harder than news, shoves news from a front into a movie. It cleaves us. It is compulsion. In the beginning, we blanketed the silence of our pictures with tin pan piano. In the end, the secret chord where will tear our tears whenever there's a front in the heart. And there always is, given human nature. I'm guessing, Hanaa, your sister Wala's car crash in southern Mosul had a track in memoriam. The yellow Hyundai in a ditch, 4 children startled in the back seat. Everyone's safe to a tune by Ferouz, maybe Nataruna Katir, Nataruna, Nataruna, ah, Nataruna, meaning patience. Music is a gesture, more human than historical, like most families, or a minute of silence. The moment I learn the secret chord, strike it, could be the beginning of an important end, or just another stray bullet in a stray front, in a stray feud on a front, like the moment I say I don't play team sports. The caveat being, as a rule, since I'm not anyone's perfect, which is a hard word, weaker than love, further than hate, and like love, music is perfectly untranslatable. It gathers us together, Hanaa, into a golden vehicle like family. Before I go on to the next one, I just want to say I was reminded that part of my bio is a little incomplete. I'm going to be a series editor for a series of translated books from Arabic out of Black Ocean Press, and it's called Songs for Ferouz. So yeah, I was just reminded by reading that one. Okay, this is High Noon. And did I tell you, Hanaa, American history is wrapped in film. We watch our gunslingers meet when the sun is directly overhead, so the gunfight is fair. So neither man is blinded by anything other than hatred, short-sightedness, ingratitude, ego. Some of us believe in this scene. Some of us believe in their dusty women crying at home, but some of us believe in the fact of a clear sky so blue 2 bodies can bathe in sunlight. See down the center of a dirt road in a rustic hometown. See for miles, see into the niches and nooks of each other's faces. A miracle. We think this lack of shadow is heaven, and it's only heaven if we've nothing to hide. Let's meet here, Hanaa, on the original road of this mutual hometown with our translator, Wadak. And once we all get used to the terrible discomfort of imperfect understanding, we'll know heaven. We'll know friendship is possible. So a lot of our poems were in response, direct response to each other. The other poems I just read were just based on conversations we had over Zoom or a Facebook post I saw about her sister's car crash. And she would do the same. She has poems about my life that she we had talked about. It was very interesting to see somebody write about your life, like your biography. It was kind of in a way unnerving because it was so dead on. This poem that I want to read now is in direct response to one of her other poems that's in here. And yeah, So I think that's, oh, the other thing I want to say is that there's a line in here that mentions 3 poets. One of the poets happens to be right here in January. And the other is Cindy Beach, a poet friend who's in the Pacific Northwest. And the other is Jen Martelli. All right. It's called Regarding Your Poem Portrait. Possible responses include vague extended apologies for my comfort or my government, details of dystopian nightmares, complete with sharp rusted metal and unbroken screams, below the desk nuclear winter fears from 7th grade, half-remembered news reports of shrapnel, both ancient and recent, silence, hope, stories about a woman swallowed by a Burmese python. She wanted to check on the pigs in her cornfield, but he found her, bit her, crushed her, consumed her. Then 3 poet friends wrote sonnets starring this woman, this python. They invited me to write one too. So I wrote How to Kill a Python. It was full of theory and snake hatred, of blue mouthwash, lit Bic lighters, machete chops below the jawline, and how you certainly can't love them to death. Anyways, war eats love. Love's a fat lump in the belly of a beast. Family and friends run out, search, wail, find a footprint, a slipper, a torch. And then, after slicing through scales near the bulge, a broken woman, dressed for a stroll. Hanaa, I saw her, unveiled, my eyes squinting between my fingers. And this is what I can do. Read your poems, write my poems, live between the two. So the last 2 poems I'm going to read are the title poem. We each wrote a title poem. I'm going to read mine first, and then I'm going to end, and you'll hear Hanaa's voice, at least in English. Let's see if there's anything I want to say about it. These were the final poems we wrote, so we were pretty comfortable with each other by this point. I think that's it. Where do you live? I should say I live in my body, in the knowledge I was fated for, like you said, Hanaa, poetry. And even if I try hard not to, I tell all the truth, but tell it slant. I live in these secrets spelled out for the curious. I live in Salem with the ghosts of accused witches. I live in the San Fernando Valley in California, in my poems. I live in fear of loneliness, but my real hometown is anger at the way things are when they should be better. I've decided to move away from should. I want to say I live in peace if we're talking about time folding into the now, the future being now. At least I live in motion along those folds sometimes when I'm talking to you, Hanaa. When I fly, I think I've always lived in midair, from Boston to Kolkata, from San Francisco to Seoul. I asked a pilot once about the hometown of a baby born mid-flight. He didn't know what to say. He paused forever. He may have been telling the truth but slant. I'm still waiting for answers. I used to live in wasted days, staring at sunshine and trees. They were wasted on me then, but not now. I live there now, in this poem. You can live forever in a poem. I live in the middle of creation when I can. It's the best way to live. Okay. Where Do You Live by Hanaa Ahmad Jabr. I don't know the name of the first war that birthed me. Perhaps no one recorded it. Perhaps the tigress witnessed it, alone, knowing every direction, alone, remembering the myths and the facts attending its flow since forever. I live here in the north, where memory is bloody sorrowful, where I belong to the river and stand on one bank, one eye open, staring at the ruins of the old city decaying, whispering, O God of old alleys, protect us from the next war. Here I am, watching the Shamsh Gate reanimating the walls of Nineveh, the statue of Abu Tamam waving to arrivals, the bridges connecting the lungs of the city, the clouds eager for rain, unobscured by smoke, the river rushing without bodies of war to stop it, and many more sidewalks and other things breaking news can't mention, nor rehab for PTSD, nor reports from the BBC or CNN, nor any channels. Yes, I live here. While my other eye is closed, hiding dreadful war scenes with nothing to help me form a description, not grandmother's tales, nor children's dreams, not poetry festivals, nor literary criticism, nor horror movies, not UN reports, nor history texts. No sentence in any language could bear the weight of that scene. Here, I feel my eyes swelling with it all, carrying the archives for future generations. And here, my face swells too, my arms, my torso. Oh, I'm here embracing myself, swelled again and rising. I think I fell upwards as usual. Now, Jennifer, you may wonder, who are you? What is your hometown? And I'll answer immediately with one eye still closed. We are the two eyes together forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, January, for that introduction. And Jennifer, always a super delight hearing you read. And thank you, everyone, for coming, and all of you out there in whatever land, some land. I'm going to read, excuse me. I'm going to read a few poems from my most recent book, Those Absences Now Closest, and a couple of new poems that I haven't read before. But I'd like to begin by reading a poem by Ukrainian poet Helena Kruk, who my co-translator Ali Kinsella and I have had the pleasure and honor of translating since 2022. And I can say more about her after the reading, but I'll just say that she is becoming internationally known and very, very much applauded for her directness and her heartbreaking work. And she is really regarded as one of Ukraine's most powerful writers at this point. So I will attempt to read one in Ukrainian. Bear with me, and read it in English, and then I'll continue. Чорна діра. Любов залишає у серці жінки діру розміром з чоловіка. Спершу мріяти, потім міряти, применшувати, прибільшувати, не договоряти, триматися подалі від краю. Боже, не слухай жінку закохану, жінку розчаровану, жінку покинуту. Жодні з них не слухай, вони самі не розуміють, чого просять. Любов залишає у серці жінки діру розміром з іншу жінку, зяючу, порожнечу, лакуну, якої нічим не закласти, антиматерію, вибухову хвилю, молитву про помсту. Боже, не проходь мимо. Любов залишає у серці жінки діру розміром з Бога. Just a little bit of context, everything's falling on the table. The poem is called Black Hole, and basically what I love about this poem is that it takes Pascal's belief that each one of us has a hole in our soul the size of God that can only be filled with God, by God. And she sort of continues that conversation, but suggests that it can be filled with more intimate human love. Black hole. Love leaves a hole in a woman's heart the size of a man. Dream first, then measure. Minimize, exaggerate, understate, stay far from the edge. God, don't listen to the woman in love, the disappointed woman, the abandoned woman. Don't listen to any of them. They themselves don't understand what they're asking. Love leaves a hole in the woman's heart the size of another woman, a gaping void, a lacuna that cannot be sealed. Antimatter, a blast wave, a prayer for revenge. God, don't walk on. Love leaves a hole in the woman's heart the size of God. Thank you. There is going to be a time when I give a reading from this book that I don't read these two poems. But tonight's not that night. Desolate. And I had Putin in mind, but you are welcome to fill in anybody's name you like. He had no soul, only steam. No eyes, only 2 frying pans. No mouth, only a daub of red. No throat, only a chimney that choked him. No God, only a candle placed upside down. He had no voice, only drones. No skin, only a sheepskin turned inside out. No feet, only puddles in which dirt swirled. No conscience, only pigeons spying from above. He had no will, only a cracked watermelon, seeds instead of memories. No woods, only withered grass. No roar, only labored horses and buckling calves. No bread, only one bowed fruitless tree. He had no angels, only the din of buzzing bees. He had no road to cross, no country, only a stinging nettle. No sins, only a thunder of artillery. No soldiers, only tongues over fire. No children, only graveside flowers. No legs, though at times they ran like rivers of blood. And this next one was inspired by my Googling just for the heck of it. What does it designate? How do you designate actual war? Like how many casualties? And Google actually had an answer, 1,000 lives. War. But the first 100 are only fooling. They've saved their caboodles from drama class. Death makeup is a breeze. They clear their throats, step into the spotlight, center stage. A mother applauds. Outside, moonlight carves its solid world. The second 100 are children again. They run through fields of daisies, fingers interlocked, index fingers pointing, rat-a-tat-tat, we're safe. Migrative imagination, pretend machine guns, execute a pact. The third 100 drag their feet, lost, heavy with song. Song is healthy for the soul, but who will listen? Fearful neighbors slam their doors shut. Surely you understand, they whisper. The fourth 100 never vacate their apartments. They're still there, lying quiet in their beds, their bodies packed with prayers. A concrete city block disintegrates between earth and air. The fifth 100 simply refuse to die until they find their daughter's favorite stuffed bear, the one with black button blind eyes that keep her safe at night. The sixth 100 press their ears to a hollow wall. Who is shouting in the dark? Not everyone who hears voices is unwell. A plastic viewmaster, a last luxury to be held in their son's hands. The seventh 100 cry a creek, a stream, a river. The eighth 100 don't remember first words, don't hear last screams. Their mouths open like that of a toddler gasping for air. A living heart, here. The ninth 100 believe they are still warm inside, the way a burning forest believes it's a perfect metaphor for the spiritual world, even after its ash. 999 are missing one who got away. Praise be. And the last one from this book is for my sister, and it's called Without Makeup. I didn't know your late in the day eyes, cool, easy, calm lake of tired eyes. You would say a nothing green, nothing anyone would notice. I'd never known you hadn't slept. Face as bland as a manila folder, without the smoke blue pencil drawn along your lower lids. Silver pewter smudges running like paths of winter rain. I didn't know your eyes set the dinner table, made the bread rise, turned violets into jelly. I didn't know your eyes had candles. Maria, we are the only two left of our first family. Our parents now streaks of bygone stories, even our mother's brightest shade of tangerine lipstick can't bring back. Something has washed the mascara away, Vaseline rubbed your lashes. You call it tired, unmotivated, grouchy looking. Apologize for apologizing. But I'm just beginning to see spring grass under snow, deciding which green. And I scattered about. I'm going to read two more. And these are actually published in Plume. So it's like, yay, they've been published. They're from a new manuscript, but I've never read them out loud. So this is a first. A little bit of menace and whimsy. It's called Giving It Away. What gave it away? My mother asks her dinner guest. She runs her hands down her neck as if smoothing a rare piece of cloth, curious if that's how they knew her age. She straightens her back, draws her neck in, but the movement collapses on itself, making her look folded, like a stork who's lost its delivery, wondering if we have a piece of bread to spare. It's always the hair, she says, but wigs never help, especially the short corkscrew curled ones. They make no difference whether you wear them backwards or forwards, whether you're coming or going. Who sees the eagle just ahead of extinction? Only hunters stretching their shadows farther, claiming more room than they need. Nothing gave it away, I tell her. He just got lucky, hell-bent on being rude because your borscht had a bug in it. You're hypocritical, she snaps. No one sees that well. Or worse, you're afraid of nature, trying to keep peace with it. Your hands look like dried earth. But rubber gloves are for morticians, I fire back. Maybe it's your outfit. Knee socks don't work over 80, even if you're still looking for your lost balloon, blocking your ears as it bobs by, knowing it'll pop. Not everything calls you back to childhood, but sometimes a few do. A neck, a balloon, a bug in a borscht. The small things we try to smooth over, hide, or explain away before they break our heart. And this last one, tonally, I'm ending on a lighter note here. I guess it's the collision between the diaspora and coming of age. And I try to figure out hot pants. Most of us know what those are. So this is called Ode to Hairy Legs and Hot Pants. You suckered me, legs, had me digging in the cedar chest for my sister's later hosen, the closest thing I had to hot pants. Short, tight, slightly ridiculous, but you had plans. No Mary Quant knickers in our house, just Bavarian leather, the ghost of Oktoberfest nudging me forward. No 70s velour short shorts, rich girl underpants maybe. Bad news for the knobby need for Marlena Dietrich Blue Angels who'd lost their color. Traded platforms for dinosaur slippers that roared with each step. And I was 11. Golden, my mother said, pointing to my legs. Hair soft as feathers. But how long was I bound to grow it, braid it, before I was allowed to shave it? Once at Ukrainian Plos camp, I borrowed a Parker butterfly razor from a tent mate and tried. Didn't know I had to twist it shut. Sorry for skidding across your shins, for the blood that signed its name. Dumb, too new to have real purpose. You tricked me, legs, into showing you off, leather ties just below the hips, red leather hard pockets. At 12, I packed them for the Second World's Fair, posing as a fab chick stepping out of the British Pavilion, showing off your glory. Stiff lederhosen, cutting circulation, but fabulously forward in natural fur. My parents loved the Valderie and me, their mountain climbing wunderkind, so beautiful until some boys passed, pointed, laughed. Here she comes, Miss America. Braces flicking off corn dog light, dressed to match their bad teeth, not understanding hair, its progeny dark, circular, kinky, forbidden to touch, that which tempts a man to bite. Legs, I grew to punish you. Long skirts, pioneer dresses, hidden razor cuts behind the knees, nuded that stank to high heaven, shaking fledgling angels down, plugging their noses, hairless and shivering. I wondered about those not so hot leather shorts dried to cardboard. Did you miss them? Me, legs. I tell myself there's always armpit hair, nipple hairs, all things adult that shelter when young and miraculous no longer disarms. Thank you.
And try not to knock anything over here. Surface. All right, I need a surface for my stopwatch. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much, James, for hosting us. It's such a treat to be here at the renowned Grolier bookshop where I used to come and browse when I was a student at UMass Boston a million years ago. And thank you, January, for that lovely introduction. And fellow readers, it was so great to hear you. I feel like I'm in the presence of these really wonderful, wonderful voices. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone for coming out. Is that Martha? Hi, Martha Collins was my first poetry teacher at UMass Boston. I thought that I was going to be a German major, and then I took Martha Collins's poetry class, and so this is all her fault. All her fault. So I'm going to read a couple of poems across 3 different books, going back in time a little bit. I wanted to open with a poem called Orts and Slarts, which is from my most recent book, A Gaze Hound That Hunteth by the Eye. Orts and Slarts is like an old-fashioned but fancy way to say like little organic bits, little like bits of like leftovers on a plate, little like meat scraps and things like that would be orts and slarts. And I think the only thing that you need to know about this poem is, so the situation that inspires the poem is the speaker's having some indigestion. So this is based on a case of dyspepsia. And my motivation in part for this poem was I had spent some time with my young nephews who were in that like 11 to 13-year-old age. And I felt like there really aren't enough American poems that capture the energy of boys that age. Does anyone here have boys that age or had boys that age? Spent any time with tween boys? Maybe you were a tween boy at some point. Okay. So this poem is for you. Orts and Slarts. Nothing's less romantic than a dish of lentils amped up with ramps and garlic, turning you into a wind instrument sprawled across the couch in torment. Nothing's more humorous than an aunt embarrassed, her innards muttering crass blasphemies in some guttural Proto-Nordic dialect. Well, gassy lassie, none will celebrate your dignity's lapse happily as this trio of nephews, avid hagiographers who praise the body's stinks and stews, its anarchy, deflating false modesty. They mythologize their seismic eructations and erections, regale you with sagas of D's pus blister and how J's whacked head bled, and when W yacked asparagus in the tub. It's sublime, really, what fumes to the surface when expert fartisans descend to hilarity. You'd have an awkward time with politer friends who lacked these children's intimacy with the rebellious corpus. Unable much of the fall to hug their father, whose kisses the chemo made radioactive, their hero is not a brute Hercules dragging his lion pelt, but the gaunt man whose eyebrows have just begun caterpillaring back, who spreads pancake batter on the griddle to birth their favorite animals, eggless batter, since their systems aggressively reject allergens. What poison came home in sippy cup lids or pacifiers, with milk in plastic cartons? Toxins tasteless as the butter-sweet colostrum swarm from the nipple of a mama bear who's breathed what breezes off the golf course, airport, highway, slaughterhouse, mephitic sugar refining plant. An egg mishap, unlike a fuck up with nuts, might not kill anyone, but surely would induce great bouts of yakking in the tub and flatulence, a word they can't stop wafting in laughter as mom rebukes yet again, yanking the pouch from a hand old enough to know better. No cursing, please. These aren't toys. Your EpiPen is not a gun. Excuse me. Okay, the next poem that I'll read is called Cliche, and I think all you need to know about this one is it involves walking on the beach, something that probably many of us like to do. Does anyone here like to walk on the beach? Okay, does anyone here not like to walk on the beach? Okay, all right, so we're all in this together. Cliche. It's back and forth ad nauseum ought to make the sea a bore, but walks along the shore cure me. Salt winds the best solution for dissolving my ennui in, along with these protean sadnesses that sometimes swim invisibly as comb jelly, a glass or two of wine below my surface. Some regrets won't untangle. Others loosen as I watch the waves spreading their torn nets of foam along the sand to dry. I walk and walk and walk and walk, letting the hull absorb me. One seal's hull, scuttled to bone's staves, gulls scream, wheeling above. And here, small, diabolical, a skate's egg case, its horned purse nested on pods of bladderwort that still squirt brine by the eyeful. Some oily slabs of whale skin, or no, just an edge of tire, flensed from a commoner leviathan. Everywhere, plastic nurdles gleam like pearls or caviar for the avian gourmand, and bits of sponge dab the wounded rack line, dried to froths of air, smelling of iodine. Hours blow off down the beach like spindrift, leaving me with an immense, less solipsistic sense of ruin, and, as if it's a gift, assurance of ruin's recurrence. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to jump back in time a little bit. So a lot of the poems in my second book, Whose Flesh is Flame, Whose Bone is Time, are set in Syria, where I had the opportunity to live before the war from 2009 through middle of 2010. Because my husband was at that point a US diplomat who was posted to Damascus. So I was spending time teaching in Connecticut, and then the semester would finish and I would race off to Damascus and spend time there. So the poem that I'll read, I'll just read a couple from this sequence, but this first poem that I'll read is explores this experience of the oddity of the kind of cognitive dissonance of coming and going between rural Connecticut and the very urban Damascus of those years. This poem is called Fluency. There's a mention of the souk. The souk is just the market. And in Damascus, it was a very old market. It had been there for 2,000 years. Fluency, Syria, 2009. Just returned from 6 months in the States, blinded by the burning screens of Google and Tweet to body language on the street, I'm slow to understand the girl pointing at heaven, then at her ear and mouth, telling me God made her deaf and mute. Shrewdly, her bronze gaze appraises me. I gesture at her stand and shrug. She flashes 10 fingers, then 10 again, showing what the lemons cost. I nod. She bags a kilo, pinching her veil between her lips to cover her tattooed chin. From my pocket, I dredge a clutch of brassy coins. Without taking her eyes off mine, she counts out 20, then shuts her hand quickly, making a quick cutting motion, once to say, halas, that's enough. Veil wrinkling in her teeth, she grins at me. Before universities, before embassies, the souk. Some palm-smoothed truth warmed in this back and forth will outlast all the information I've spent a half year circulating. I weigh my words here, learning what they're worth. I'm gonna kick, am I kicking a cable or something? Are you guys hearing some feedback?
Yeah.
That,
Oh, but
I
not
think
doing
that, I'm
anything.
wondering if I did something.
I don't think you.
No, the
yeah.
speaker's just a little screwed up. We can turn it off. I can hear you just fine back here, or we can leave it on. What would you prefer?
Okay, but are you guys okay with it? If it gets too crackly, I'll stand back. I thought I might have.
That was not
It's
you.
my magnetism.
Yeah, that's.
It is
that's-
my magnetism that is doing this. Okay, so this next poem is called Unbeliever's Prayer. It's another poem that it's set in this Damascus setting. It has an epigraph from the Quran, Surah 3, 136, and it's a quote, and gardens with streams of water where they will abide forever. And it's a poem dedicated to my friend Julia Wickham. Unbeliever's Prayer. O merciful, your prophet says perfumes of running water await the believer in paradise. Cold streams where jasmine blossoms float will bathe the faithful feet. Thick with dates, palm fronds will drip syrups to sweeten his tongue till he forgets all lies, all thirst. At night, the angels' torches hang above the olive trees, lighting the garden whose music is part bulbul and part oud. It sounds very good. But, compassionate, will you grant to one who cannot fit her soul through the eye of a needle, a stranger, yet grateful for your hospitality, leave to camp outside your gate? For my eyes and ears are wealthy. Wealthy are my lips. And if such richness cannot join the pure passing through your garden's walls, will your benevolence allow me for company your homeliest daughter, the camel? Allow me the obstinate one who, tapped by her drover's cane, commanding her to couch, bellows before collapsing front end first to her parchment knees, who groans like a slit water skin and vomits cud dense as half-cooked bulgur over her drover's heels. She is justifiably aloof, alone among all creatures, including men who praise your 99 names. She knows your final 100th name. She smells like the birth of the world, iron and salts, ammonia and calcium, urine evaporating off sandstone in the heat. From her shoulders, her felted pelt hangs, carted by the wind into Bedouin patterns against the evil eye. The thickets in the wadis of her ears have trapped grains of the Sahara blown north on every storm since she was calved. Peevish, she has torn with jaws only half-toothed, yet strong as a gin, in one swift grab, a man's kneecap from his leg. But offered a chocolate biscuit from a sweaty palm, she drops her eyelashes and presses her split top lip like two adroit fingers opposed by her lower lip's thumb, gently into the cup of the giver's hand, not missing a crumb. Her bristled tongue is stiffer than her hooves. Half-stuffed leather cushions, they flatten at each step to grip sands of the peninsula and Levant that roast any lingering moisture from the air and from the bodies of all traveling there, and surely are what your prophet must be picturing every time he mentions hell. Across them, she can travel a week without water, or only brackish water lifted in rancid goatskins from stinking wells, or water so salt it scorches the human throat. There are perfumed streams in paradise, they say, but I know my place. Give me leave, merciful, to rest outside your garden's gate, with one loved by parched souls for her endurance, so ample that, if this is all there is, she makes a feast of thorns. Okay, and I'm going to close with two short poems from a very old book, an ancient book. And actually one little tidbit. So my first book was published in 2000. And I was so excited because somebody had told me they had seen it at the Grolier, again, a million years ago. And so I came to the Grolier and I was like, I'm sneaking in to see if my book is on the shelf. And it wasn't on the shelf. And the proprietor at that time, Louisa, told me that my book had been stolen. And I was unsure if that was the case, but I was deeply flattered. I thought someone stole that. That's great. That's a sign of love. Okay, I'm actually just going to, I'm going to close with just one more poem, I think. So this is actually the first poem in the book. This is one of those, this is a poem that it's the only thing that survived from my MFA manuscript. I went off and did I left Boston, went off, did an MFA, wrote a million poems as one does when you're doing an MFA, and they were just all terrible. And then this poem also for a long time was terrible. And it was a poem that I tried to write for years and years and years, actually. I was trying to tell the story of how my parents met. And I just couldn't do it. I wrote it in a million different forms. It was narrative. It was all of these different things. And then at one point I figured out that I could actually tell the story if I used just 2 words. So this is a poem that tells the story of their marriage in 2 words. Clever and poor. She has always been clever and poor, especially here off the Yugoslav train on a crowded platform of dust. Clever was her breakfast of nutmeg ground and water in place of rationed tea. Poor was the cracked cup, the missing bread. Clever are the 6 handkerchiefs stitched to the size of a scarf and knotted at her throat. Poor is the thin coat, patched with cloth from the pockets she then sewed shut. Clever is the lipstick, petunia pink, she rubbed with a rag on her nails. Poor nails, blue with the cold. Poised in a cape to hide her waist, her photograph was clever. Poor then was what she called the last bills twisted in her wallet. Letter after letter, she was clever and more clever. For months, she wrote a newspaper man who liked her in the picture. The poor saved spoons of sugar. She traded them for stamps. He wanted a clever wife. She was poor, so he sent a ticket. Now she could come to her wedding by train. Poor, the baby left with the nuns. Because she's clever, on the platform to meet him, she thinks, be generous with your eyes. What is poor is what she sees. Cracks stop the station clock. Girls with candle grease to sell. Clever, poor, clever and poor. Her husband, more nervous than his picture, his shined shoes tied with twine. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. Let's give the poets another round of applause. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause to January for a wonderful introduction and moderating this evening. Thanks to everyone on Zoom. Thanks to all of you. We have some books for sale. Poets will be signing the books. If everyone could please put your chairs up against one of the walls, I'd be very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Can I get a photo of the four of you before we?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Where would you like it?
What about back here if it's not too framed? It might be, in which case we can do it over here. That was excellent. Thank you so much. That was great.
Synergy with the
Yeah, there was all the international stuff. Yeah.
I'm from Poland. I think
If you don't forget, I
really want to hear more about your the anthology that you bring up because the anthology that I cover here is not very writing is like 25 years old. There's an old anthology.
Natalie handles.
So
Natalie, the TA.
Yes, I know. So it's not I have that one. Another one.
Yeah, there was.
Period.
You want to trade spots?
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. I think we can all fit back here.
Yeah, I think so.
Very much.
Yeah, that anthology, you're talking about the passage of the Shahrazad that
You want to jump back in with them?
Tupelo.
Great.
Are you quick start? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'll be happy to do that.
They were all.
Ma'am.
It was always like poet. Translator.
Okay. Everyone say poetry.
Poetry.
Beautiful, beautiful. I believe this is yours. January.
It's vertical.
We'll do vertical. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I take your?
Yes, ma'am. Is this your phone?
Yeah.
You want to unlock it for me?
There you go. Sorry. Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome. We'll do horizontal and vertical. Poetry. Okay. Poetry. Right, last thing, a few for me.
Oh, one more.
Okay, this is it. This is the one for the books. Well, they're all for the books. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You can put in any of these. Can we get photos of you over there?
You could.